Hello and welcome to this video and to the last book review of 2022 because it's for December but it's coming out early January, and apologies, I have a hair in my face. So yeah, these are the last books that I read in 2022. These are my December reads. To let you behind the scenes a little bit, I'm actually filming this on the 20th of December, no, the 21st of December. So I do have like another 10 days left of the month and could possibly read another book. But if I just tilt you this way slightly, you'll be able to see that we're in the middle of packing. And after this morning, hence why I'm in my pyjamas and my dressing gown, I'm not going to have any chance to talk to you about books and get it edited and prepared by the time we go away. So that's why we're doing it now. So I only have 4 books to talk to you about because that's all I've done so far for the month. And the first one that I read was The Package by Sebastian Fitzek. So this is a thriller. It's about Emma who survives a serial killer's attack, but then a package appears and it sends her spiralling. It is quite a confusing book, and it's meant to be that way. So the narrator of it is very unreliable. You're not sure whether she's just losing her marbles or whether what she's saying is actually true, and all of that kind of thing. And at the beginning I quite liked that, but then as it went on, the paranoia did just get on my nerves a bit and it dragged the book out a bit, and it was a bit like, come on, we've actually got to find out what's happening soon, because at the moment we're just going all over the place and none of us know what's going on. If I was in the right mood that would probably work for me, but I did just get a bit fed up after a while. This book is quite creepy though, and reading it alone I might have struggled, and to be fair, I didn't expect the ending and the twist at the end. It was an interesting way for it to go, not one that I expected, but by that point I was slightly over it and didn't care quite so much, just because I was getting a bit fed up of it. Just, I guess, trigger warnings, there's some quite detailed descriptions of rape in this, which could cause some discomfort to people. I don't know whether the enjoyment of the book was, hampered, lessened, because it's a translated work, so which may be why it didn't quite work as well as it possibly could have done if I was reading it in its native language kind of thing. So I did enjoy this book. I do think I'm going to keep hold of it because I think it might be one that I'll revisit when I'm in a slightly less frantic headspace. Obviously with moving and honeymoon and things like that, there's a few things going on in my brain, so I'm not sure I could give this its full concentration that it perhaps needed. Saying that though, it's a very quick and easy read, so it's not that it was taxing or anything. I'm just not sure I was quite in the right headspace for it, which is why I'm going to keep hold of it and read it again someday, just to see. I'm also very keen on this cover and the little details about the book that you see on it. So there we go, that's The Package by Sebastian Fitzek. Now, the next book that I read I was definitely in the right headspace for, and that was Wonder by J Palacio. This follows a 10-year-old boy who goes to school for the first time. He'd been homeschooled up until that point, but what makes life more difficult for him is that he's got a facial disfigurement, so obviously people stare and he has to cope with all of that kind of thing. What I particularly liked about this book is that it's written in sections, and each section is from a different character, so you get lots of different points of view. So you hear from Augie himself, his sister Via, some of his friends at school, and I like that a lot. And I also like how J Palacio managed to get very distinct voices for each of those. You'd know exactly sort of the rough age of the person, the viewpoints that they had and things like that, just from the way that the chapters were written. And saying that, those chapters are incredibly short, most of them are only about 2 pages long, so I flew through this book and just found it incredibly sweet and heartwarming, and thoroughly enjoyed it. To be fair, it did make me choke up a few times. I did feel a bit emotional at points, but I'm not sure whether those, because 2 of the events of this are very much related to events that I've been through, so that did make me well up a little bit, which is very unusual for a book. And I found that Augie was just a very sweet and good-natured child despite all of the things that are supposedly going against him. And this is I think it's a middle grade, so it's not obviously written for my age group, and I don't know whether it's because I'm getting old, but I really connected with the parents. I want to be like those parents if I'm ever one, because they're just so open and everybody wants to be in their house and with them because they're such lovely people and all of that kind of stuff. So although this isn't a Christmas book, it has that sort of Christmas feel of goodwill and kindness to all men and all of that kind of stuff. So very much enjoyed it, and a really good book to end the year, or one of the books to end the year on. So that was Wonder by J Palacio. So if you saw my try a chapter video, which I'll link up here for you, you'll know that the other book that I was going to try and read in December was The Light Between Us by Katie Kahn, because when I read the prologue I was very surprised at the tone of the book and the fact that it felt more of a romance than I was expecting and all of that kind of stuff. Now I feel a little bit conned by that prologue because the rest of the book didn't really follow the same tone as that prologue, which was a shame and a bit disappointing, to be honest. I found that this became very sciencey. So this follows Thea and what's his name, Isaac, who meet at university. Thea is doing a thesis and wants to prove that time travel exists, but she has a very single focus. Then one day they do an experiment, their friend disappears, etc, etc. So it did become a bit too sciencey for me. I think Katie Kahn went a bit too much in depth on that kind of stuff to make it work in my brain, at least. There was a hint of romance in it, but I kind of expected more, and I also didn't really believe in the romance at all. And I think I would have liked more about Thea and Isaac in the past when they met, a bit like the prologue, more than what was in it. I think I was supposed to feel like absolutely devastated and like heartbroken by the ending, but quite frankly I didn't care quite so much. And I feel like a lot of the plot points just got dropped. It's like, oh, we won't bother with that one anymore. So that all sounds very negative, but I did quite enjoy it. I quite liked some of the time travel aspect of it and the investigative part of it, and I did enjoy the strong female friendship that was part of this book. But on the whole I was kind of disappointed at the outcome, considering what I thought of the prologue at the beginning. So that was The Light Between Us by Katie Kahn. Now I am doing a very good job at rattling through these books. So we've come to the last one that I read in December, and I want to caveat this by saying that it is a J Rowling. We don't condone J Rowling here or anything that she says, but this book was bought as a gift for Pete for Christmas, so I can't have a book that is unread. I'm sorry, it feels like sacrilege to not read a book. So I read The Christmas Pig by J Rowling. This follows a boy who loses his absolute favourite toy and then has to go into the land of the lost to try and retrieve him, and he can only do that on Christmas Eve. Taking J Rowling out of this and just talking about the book itself, it's a really good adventure book for middle grade kids. However, I do think it went on for a little bit too long. I think we went into a few different places and we could have got rid of one for it to not drag out quite so much. The whole concept of the land of the lost I adored. I thought that was so clever. It's a place where everything, including, you know, your bad habits, emotions, if you lose your ambition, all of that kind of stuff, they all go there, along with, you know, your sock, your tights, your glasses, whatever. So they all go to the land of the lost, and then they get divvied up into different sections of it, and then there's this big baddie called the loser who tries to eat surplus items that are never going to be found. And as I said, I enjoyed that aspect of it, but I do feel it went on for a little bit too long. The illustrations in this book by, what's his name, Jim Field, are really good, and I absolutely adore the hardcover of this book. I just think it's so pretty. It's definitely got aspects of, you know, like Toy Story in it. I could see, gives you the same kind of feeling as that, which I don't know whether that's what she was going for, but that's what I got from it. However, I would say it's not a particularly festive read, despite being called The Christmas Pig and being set at Christmas. I feel like some of the aspects, certainly when a certain someone appears in it, it's a bit shoehorned in. So on the whole, I did quite enjoy The Christmas Pig, but there are a few things that I would tweak to make it better. So there we go, that's The Christmas Pig by J Rowling. And I am going to start a new book, another Christmas book, which I'll have to talk to you about in January now probably, but that's The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox, which follows a woman who's a TV judge who gets knocked out and loses her sense of smell and taste, so she calls in her identical twin and they end up doing a twin swap, a bit like Parent Trap, which they haven't done for years. And obviously there's going to be some sort of Christmas romance. But as I say, I haven't actually started that, and we do still have about 10 days left of December, so I will be reading that, but I'll have to share that one with you in January, February time, whenever it is that I do my next book review. By the time I've read The Holiday Swap, which probably will take me through till the end of the year, because I don't tend to read all that much over the Christmas time, depending, well, we've got a lot going on. I will have read 75 books this year, in 2022, which is the most I have ever read in any year, and I'm pretty chuffed with it because it's definitely over the 52 book goal that I set myself at the beginning of the year. And on the whole, I had some pretty good books. I think we're averaging at about a 3.64 rating, so depending on the holiday swap, I don't think it's going to make it change that much, which again is up from the year before by a little bit. And yeah, I had just a very good reading year. So I think I'm going to close this one now so that I can actually get myself ready and continue packing and cleaning and all of that sort of stuff. There will be a moving vlog coming to you soon, but for now I'm going to end this one here, so if you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you're interested in 2023's reading or whatever's going on anyway, please click that subscribe button and I will see you in the next one. Bye!